It's about that time again. We have to recap the latest episode of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. And look, the New Jersey fans, I have to say, normally I don't put it on the fans for ruining a show. I don't think it's just the fans, but the fans are still, not even just the fans, the blogs, the people that are taking sides and putting out narratives are going to ruin this show. Because I see a lot of things on social media and I'm just like, I just roll my eyes and I just keep on scrolling. But they are taking the fun out of recapping and talking and watching the show. I can see, based off what Andy Cohen said a few weeks ago in regards to this season, I can see how it ended up working this season, because you can see that they're trying to flesh out storylines that they don't normally flesh out with other people. And you do see a cast that's divided, but it doesn't feel as divided, because both last week's episode and this week's episode, we're still getting group events. Although we're having people not interact with each other, it doesn't necessarily feel that way. It doesn't feel like how Real Housewives of Potomac, it feels divisive. And maybe because there are people within, more than one person within this group that is connected to each side. So we have Dolores, we have Jen Fesler. Oh, Jen Fesler, girl. All right, look, we're gonna get into that and so much more. As you can see, I am still not in the Kempire studio, which is fine. You're still getting content. So, as a favor to me and in honor of my birthday and in honor of us celebrating over 400,000 subscribers, give us a like. If you're listening to this, the audio version of the Kempire podcast, be sure to give us a 5-star rating there on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Let's get into this recap of the Real Housewives of, I was about to say Potomac, Real Housewives of New Jersey season 14, episode 2? Damn.
Baby, baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor, I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lead, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up to get this cool.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, again, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. It is the subscribers only, a live chat. And don't forget to subscribe to the Kempire podcast on both Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. While you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star review. And don't forget, guys, the Kempire After Dark tour is coming to a city near you. For more details on our live show where you can meet me in person for meet and greets and us discussing hot topics, talking about some of your favorite shows like New Jersey, Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, and more, be sure to check out our new dates that are coming up. We have a new date coming up in New York City for Pride Month. Stay tuned for all of that. All that information will be in the description. Kempire After Dark live tour experience is coming to a city near you. Shout out to all of you that have already been to some of the cities that we've been. We had 2 sold out shows, one in DC, one in New York City, and we're aiming for that in Atlanta, Nashville, Boston, Seattle, and so much more. Let's talk about the Real Housewives of New Jersey. All right, I wasn't sure about New Jersey this season, but the fact that we are in episode 2 and I'm still not seeing necessarily the divide. Yes, there's clearly a divide in this group, but it doesn't feel like a divide as much because we're still getting full scenes with everyone. So at the top of this, last week we really didn't get in the premiere Danielle and what's going on with Danielle only until like towards the end. So we start off this episode this week with Danielle and her daughter, her cutie patootie daughter, having a photo shoot. She's talking about how, she does kids fashion and things like that, and how she was in Fashion Week. This platform is huge. Being on Bravo is a huge opportunity. I get why some of these folks act the way that they do, because they're like, oh my God, I'm on this opportunity, because there is the Bravo effect. And this is why they claw on being on this reality show, and they will do whatever it takes to stay on there. And this is why certain people will claw to be a part of it, or to be connected to a housewife, okay? Or any Bravo celebrity, all right? Anyway, sidebar. I don't know. I just ran, because I told you guys I'm not really getting entrenched in the drama that's happening online. We talked a little bit about what Melissa's old nose, the troll account, said in a recent interview. I saw that apparently she, in her original interview, she talked about how Teresa's lawyer, Teresa's attorney, who's been her attorney since she was in lockup, okay? Apparently he was a part of this whole trying to change the narrative on social media and get behind the scenes stuff. So apparently this leaked alleged conversation where he thinks that Kate Chastain and Jessica Chastain, because they have the same last name, are connected. Kate is having a field day of jokes on social media with this. If this is true, oh God, this is weird. What, sir, you are an attorney. I'm assuming you are a criminal attorney. Why are you involved in this? I always wondered to myself, now that the situation with Teresa is done and over with, why are you still her attorney? I get it. He probably practices other things within law, but you were a criminal attorney, I assume. Why are you still here? It's giving fishy. It's giving suspect. And you know what, Teresa? You continuously surround yourself with interesting people. I'll say that. I'll just say it just like that. Anyways, back to Danielle. So Danielle, one thing I will give Danielle, because throughout this episode and even the little bit that we got of her last week, she is funny. She is just naturally funny. She is entertaining. And I know people, including myself, talk about how we knew that she has always wanted to be on reality television. Now she is. But to me, she's actually interesting. When I talk about people don't necessarily have to have a storyline, even though there is a storyline happening with Danielle that she doesn't want to really talk about. We talked about that last season. But Danielle, it seems as if something else is going on again, and we're not getting the full story. We'll get there. But Danielle is planning a party to celebrate her husband, Nate, who had a cyst in his brain about 7 years ago. At the time of this filming, it was 6 years ago. All right. And as someone that had a sister lose her life to a AV malfunction in her brain, and another sister have almost her life taken based off of a situation in her brain, two sisters. Life is precious. These types of things can take you in an instant. And if you survive and are able to tell your story, I love that you should celebrate Nate I actually like Nate. Of all the husbands, he seems just so like, I love my wife. I love my kids. I'm just here. I'm going to defend my wife when necessary, but that's it. Like, he doesn't really get into the muck. He's not fighting with any of the other ladies. He's just there. He's just sort of like cool and bad. I like Nate. Let's celebrate Nate. Let's celebrate Nate. Okay. Anyway, so Danielle talks about how she's not talking to her father because she didn't like how he handled the gift situation with her brother. So you remember, or maybe you don't remember, what happened with Danielle and her brother. We still do not know the full story. And I told you I had a source close to the situation. And I told you that you would never see her brother or her brother's wife, her sister-in-law, on the show. She is not interested. She deleted her social media. They are not desperate to be on television. But there's a lot more to this story that Danielle is not telling us, because we told you it was suspicious, even the story that Danielle told us in regards to, it was because he blocked me on social media and that's why we're not talking. Oh, come on. There's definitely more. So now she's talking about not talking to her father. And you remember, her father was the one that was still talking to both her and her brother. And she's saying that she did not like the way that her father did not handle the gift situation with her brother. And she felt like he didn't stand up for her with her brother. Danielle, if these are the reasons why you're not talking to your family, and the way that she made it seem was like she's done with her father. And again, family stuff, I understand is complicated, but for the audience watching it, it seems frivolous, the things that you're mad at your family for. So that's part of the reason why we're like, girl, go make up with your family. If this is what you're arguing about, is this what you're fighting about? It is frivolous. Maybe it's not frivolous to you, but the way it's described on the show comes across frivolous and not that deep. But maybe it is that deep. We understand family situations can be complicated. We're watching The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and we've been watching it since the beginning. We understand. Those things can be complicated. But the way that you have described it doesn't seem that complicated. But maybe it is. Maybe we will see throughout the season how complicated it is. But okay, girl. You don't want to talk to him? Fine. Dolores. Oh, Dolores. Look, I love me some Dolores. Don't get me wrong. I really do like Dolores. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like I do. I like Dolores. I think Dolores is a lovely woman. Dolores behind the scenes, so many Bravo celebrities love Dolores because she's a genuine, nice, authentic person. Her story, I don't know what it is. Honestly, I'm not going to say that it's not authentic. I don't know if I believe this relationship with Paulie. But what I do believe, it's not going to work. He can't eat her meatballs. He's not willing to get a divorce. So she's back in a situation that she was in with the doctor. So I just feel like every time I watch these scenes with her and Paulie, I'm just like, okay, what's the point? We know how this is going to end. Anyway, so in this scene, she's talking about getting back into real estate. She was always involved in real estate, but again, she wants to make sure she has her own independence, and Paulie encourages that. He's like, I want you to feel good about your financial situation. She is living now with Paulie after, she said for about a year now. And you know, we don't care a thing about Paulie, but that house, that townhouse, gorgeous. Like, I don't care anything about Paulie. And the more we get to know Paulie, the more I'm like, no. However, the home, impeccable. So they're collaborating in regards to real estate. And so she's talking about that. And she's talking about her financial independence. Great, Dolores. We're happy for you, girl. Like, honestly, at this point, the job at New Jersey is not definite. So definitely. Even though I think she has secured her spot for next season because she is a neutral party. But you just never know what the people are thinking behind the scenes. She could be gone too. I think she doesn't want to burn a bridge with Teresa. She's known Teresa a very long time, and I don't think it's just because she's known Teresa a very long time. I think it's partially because of the situation on this show. That is part of the reason why she doesn't want to burn a bridge with Teresa. All right? Or Margaret. All right? All right. So Melissa has a birthday party for her daughter, Antonia. You know, Antonia is also going off to college as well. And I told you, I felt like this season we're going to finally see them flesh out a storyline for Melissa. I know so many people say Melissa's always using Teresa for a storyline. And some of the Melissa fans are like, oh, Teresa's always using Melissa. She didn't have Melissa. She wouldn't have relevance. Both sides say it. And you know how I twerk on the fence. I could care less. I'm team me. I don't know these people. And I don't care to know these people. But I said, because these two are refusing, or at least Teresa's refusing to acknowledge Melissa this season, that they're going to flesh out her storyline. And one of the things I also told you, so many people accuse on both sides, oh, they're trying to make someone their storyline. We also have to keep in mind, the producers decide, the network, even above the producers, the network decides what they would like to focus on. So I said this last season during our recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. I said, I know we think that Melissa doesn't have a storyline, but she could easily be giving the producers a storyline that we never heard of, because they have decided this season they want to focus on the issues between her and Teresa. They decide that. And a lot of times that's above production. That's not even production's decision. Production is there on the ground to film everything. And then the networks decide, the executives decide, this is what we want to focus on. But this season, because we're not getting a Teresa and a Melissa situation, because the audience has said we are tired of this battle between these two women. We're tired of it. So they are fleshing out more of a storyline for Melissa. Okay, they're fleshing out more of a storyline for Melissa, and we're starting. And honestly, I'm surprised. I've said this before. I've said this last season. I'm sure I said it previous seasons. Why are we not seeing Melissa with her sisters? They're very much a part of her life. We barely ever see Melissa's side of the family. It was always Joe's side of the family that we saw, rightfully so, because this show started with Joe's family, Teresa, and things like that. But she has a really good relationship, from what we've heard, a really good relationship with her own sisters. So this is like the very first time in a long time where we really get to see her interact with, yes, we've seen them before. We know we've seen her sisters, but we never really get to see her. And I'm sure maybe this season we will, her hang out with her sisters. Like, that's a situation where there is no family drama. Like, they really get along. They really love each other. They really are hanging out with each other. Do I think that it was performative in regards to them pointing out how Melissa's family has embraced Joe Gorga because Teresa's his only family? No. And I'm sure there are people that can relate to this family dynamic where the other side of the family is not around. So your spouse's family, I know there are plenty. I'm not married, so I don't know that. I'm not, with someone in this situation, but I've seen it. I've seen it in friends. I've seen it in other families where another person doesn't have that close situation, or maybe they don't have an extended family, and that other side really embraces that person like their own, like real family. So Melissa gets emotional talking about it. Then Joe starts talking about Nick, who's Melissa's, I forgot who he's Melissa's something, cousin something. I don't remember who Nick is in the family, but he's related. He's on Melissa's side of the family. And Nick is gay, and Nick's fiance is there, and they're talking about getting married, and Joe's going to be the officiant of that. And Nick gets emotional talking about how, and this, especially, and look, as someone that comes from a Jamaican family, and this is why we always say Black people can relate a lot to Italians, because a lot of things are very similar. In the Italian culture, being gay is not acceptable. As someone that grew up on Staten Island, I know, okay? So Nick gets emotional talking about how Joe really embraced him when he finally came out. So it means a lot to him. Joe means a lot to him, and it means a lot to him that Joe is going to be the one to officiate their wedding. I thought this was a beautiful scene, and I do believe that Joe has been embraced by Melissa's side of the family, because really without Teresa, he really doesn't have any other side of his family. Both his parents have gone on. He doesn't have a relationship with his nieces. The other thing, I said this last week, I'm going to say it again this week, because literally you hear Joe say it's bittersweet not having his sister and his nieces at this family function. That to me, it proves what I said last week. I feel as if Joe would always be open to Teresa coming back into his life. If Teresa ever really needed him, Joe would be there. I don't know if that would be reversed, to be honest. I don't know. I don't think so. I think maybe if he left Melissa, that might be reversed. But even that, I don't think so. I don't think so. But look, Joe could have took a dig in that moment, but he said it was bittersweet. That stood out to me, which said to me that he still has a soft place in his heart. You Leo. Leos are sensitive. You know you guys are. I was like, Joe, you're proving my point. You're proving my point. Anyways, so that was a really sweet moment, okay? So Teresa hosts Danielle and Jennifer at her home to do that whole sculpting thing. I never did that. I kind of want to try it when I get back. After all this good eating in Portugal. where it shakes your I'm like, look, it's always something fun to try. Maybe I'll take you guys with me when I try it. Anyways, I'm not doing it on the booty. I don't need help with that department. Anyways, we also get a life update in regards to Gia. Gia has graduated from Rutgers. She's preparing for her LSTAT. She's working for an immigration lawyer. That was inspired because of the immigration situation with her father, but she's still not sure what direction she wants to go in regards to law. Fine. Danielle comes over and she's talking about her relationship with Rachel, and she says it's a slippery slope building a relationship with Rachel. She's Danielle's sort of that crossover still between both groups, because she's building a relationship with Rachel, and she's going to stay at Rachel's shore house when they go down to the shore to celebrate Nate. Okay. But Teresa tells Danielle in this moment, which is, you know, do I believe it? In part. I do believe it in part. I don't know if I believe it 100%. But Teresa says, I'm not telling you who you can be friends with. I'm not telling you that you have to choose in this situation. And of course, if we're watching Housewives, if we're watching reality television, someone's going to play pickleball. So Margaret is playing pickleball with Rachel and Melissa. We learned that Rachel has suffered from rheumatoid arthritis since she was a little girl. And did she say she had her hip replaced at 18? But then she went on to do all that, you know, fitness competitions and things like that. But now she's starting to, you know, feel it. Like when she said the shoulder, I said, oh, but this is not rheumatoid arthritis that I know of. Just saying. But I'm doing my exercises. Even on my vacation, I'm doing all the exercises I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to. Matter of fact, I should go grab the thing while I'm doing it and do the exercises with you guys. Right. Guys, if you're just joining us, this is our weekly recap of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to turn on your notifications. And if you're listening to this, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. All right. And don't forget, guys, if you are looking for a belated Mother's Day message, or maybe a birthday message, or an anniversary message, or just a message in general, or a shady message, don't forget we are on CAMEO. More information on that and any way that you can support the channel will be available in the description of this video or audio if you're listening to this. So back to our recap of the Real Housewives of New Jersey. So Margaret is playing pickleball with Rachel and Melissa. Melissa is also planning a birthday party while they're down at the shore. They're always going to be at the shore at some point during this trip. So they're going to be down at the shore, as you know, for Nate's party. So they're going to plan a birthday party for Joe Gorga. All right. So they end up talking about what happened at Jen Fesler's birthday party. And Rachel wants to clear up what Teresa was saying, because Teresa's like, oh, wasn't John the biggest drug dealer of I was about to say Potomac, a Paramus or whatever, who cares? A Bergen County is what she said. So Rachel's like, he was 17, he was selling pot, and he got arrested. Is that really what happened? If that's really, first of all, I think some of this information, well, not some of this information, this is information these housewives and these other co-stars, castmates are running with, is something that John Fuda's incarcerated ex-girlfriend, baby's mama, told the blogs. All right. But if this is the case, because I'm thinking he was running the streets at 20, like, I don't get deep into all of what people want to leak online, or like, I just can't, especially when it comes to the Real Housewives of New Jersey. It's not that I'm not interested. It's not that I don't want to know more. But when I see something in relation to New Jersey, I'm just like, I'm just going to stick to what I see on the show. Here and there, like recently we've covered things, but if this is true that we're talking about when he was 17 and he sold pot, which is now legal in most places, and he got arrested, and you want to conflate that on this show, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, because my thing is, here's the thing. I get it. It was in the blogs, and I get it. It was his ex that said this, but that doesn't mean that as castmates that you run with what you heard her say and then you make it into, because literally, if I didn't see or hear more of this information, it is quite damaging to make that sort of statement. I'm thinking that John really was like this big, for a second, I was like, he was this real big drug dealer, and he turned his life around. He was 17, selling pot. Okay. All right. But then she also ran with the whole double-sided dildo. So then there's that. They even made a joke about that this week when they were, getting their butt sculpted. Girl. But Rachel's like, I'm done with Teresa. I'm not trying with Teresa. The door is closed. Do you blame her? Here's the thing. I don't blame her, because it's the elevation of something that could be damaging. And also, we forgot to talk about this. I believe I talked about this in a separate video. If I didn't, I'll talk about it now. John Fuda, after the premiere episode aired, he came out with a press statement on social media about how he, denying these allegations and how he's a philanthropist and a pillar in his community. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, here comes John Fuda with, the press statement. Nobody who asked for this. Here's the thing. If somebody was accusing you, let's just say, and let me just paint the picture for you. I don't want us to take John Fuda out of the situation. If someone said this about you, you did something when you were a teenager and you've turned your life around. You're now damn near 40. And you've come on this because people have been saying, oh, he needs to prepare for this. He's on a reality show. But if this was elevated to a point that was ridiculous, again, 17, sold something, got in trouble for it, got arrested for it, but has not been in trouble since. Okay? Or has turned his life around, even if he did get in trouble since, but turned his life around, and he is a pillar in his community, whatever. Does that make it okay for someone to bring it on this show and try to make it seem like it was a bigger thing than it was? That's damaging. Potentially could damage, especially if people that work with him don't want to hear anything more about, oh, it was when he was 17. What if they don't hear that? That could really hurt his business. That could hurt his career, future opportunities. So I'm not going to be mad at him if he wants to clear his name based off of what a reality show that's not going to give you context. Okay. I'm not going to be mad at that. People might find it humorous and be like, oh, here you go. And I think people do that because like they're a team whoever. But my thing is, take John Fuda out of the situation and put yourself in the situation. Especially if this was a situation where you were 17 and you were a dumb teenager. You got arrested, but since then you've done nothing else wrong. But now this is being brought on a reality show because nothing else is going, or you have some vendetta. So you want to conflate about something without giving any sort of context. That is dangerous, and that is damaging. Again, why I would never do reality television, because people would, not that I have anything like that to anyone can say, but you get what I'm saying. Because then you don't control the narrative. So I can see why John Fuda is like, I'm going to put out a statement that what they're saying is completely false. I don't blame him, especially when you have something to lose. But some will say, well, they say this about Teresa. Well, Teresa was arrested not too long ago. Just say. And she still doesn't show, she still has not shown any sort of ownership. Yes, she served her time, but come on. Y'all remember when this was brought up before? She has still not taken any ownership for her own husband. Still has not taken ownership for what he did. So save me on that, okay? Anyways, we'll move on. We find out that Paulie's not a Jersey Shore guy. We know he tries to avoid it, but he's going to end up coming. All right. Where's Dr. Bill? Jennifer. After Dr. Bill was dragged last season by his own wife on this show, we're in episode 2. We are still waiting. We're like, where is Dr. Bill? He is missing in action. So they're down at the shore. Teresa and Dolores are going to be staying with Jennifer Aiden. Margaret shades the hell out of the fact that they're staying with Jennifer Aiden. And Joe also shades that because, if you forgot, at the Jersey Shore where they rent, Jennifer Aiden, they're staying right there on the boardwalk. And if you know the Jersey Shore, it's loud and, rowdy. So they make a joke about that. They're like, I'm glad I'm not going to be staying there. We're going to be staying with the Gorgas. So Margaret and who else was staying with the Gorgas? I don't remember. Who cares? It's pointless at this point. So Jennifer Fesler and Rachel have a conversation because Jennifer Fesler is staying with Rachel. They really have built a friendship since last season, which I like. I actually like their friendship. But it's being tested. It's being tested because Rachel does not want to deal with Teresa, and Jen Fesler is building a relationship with Teresa. So Rachel says she doesn't understand how Fesler wants to be even friends with Teresa based off of what she's been saying and doing in regards to her and her family. Okay? Jen says that everyone in this group says horrible things to each other. How do you guys feel about Jen? Because I've seen some of you say I don't like Jen Fesler, and I've told you Jen Fesler in that premiere they should be paying her more. But after watching this week's episode, I'm looking at Jen Fesler with the side eye like. I mean, again, I don't know. I'm not saying that Teresa's impossible to be friends with, especially if you don't get involved in any of the drama. But I could see why Jen would be friends with Teresa over Margaret, based off what I've heard about Margaret behind the scenes, allegedly. I could see Margaret putting pressure on Jen Fesler to do her bidding. To be honest with you, I would rather be friends with Teresa. If I had to choose, I would rather be friends with Teresa than Margaret. Because Margaret gives the energy of trying to control everything. And even her friends. Like to me, she comes across with that energy. And I'm not one to be controlled. And I feel like Teresa is not going to try and control you. Maybe in her own way, but it's not going to be the same way as as Margaret. So I could see why Jen might lean more towards Teresa in regards to a friendship. But she seems like she's twerking on a fence. You sure you're not a Taurus, Jen Fesler? We'll get back to Jen Fesler. But Rachel's just like, I don't get it. And at one point, John Fuda was just like, yeah, we can't be associated with someone that's associated with them. I know some people are going to take him serious. I, in that moment, did not take him serious until Rachel said what she said in regards to her not understanding how Jen is having a friendship with Teresa. I mean, look, I don't see a problem with Jen Fesler having a friendship with Teresa, or even if it's an association with Teresa, necessarily a deep friendship, because clearly Jen says, I'm closer to you. You and I have a deep friendship. But she's still building some sort of relationship with Teresa. Fine. Look, I'm also not one to tell someone who they can be friends with. All right. Unless they did something dirty to me. They talked about my husband saying something like that. I might be looking at you with the side eye. I might look at you with the side eye. But look, we're going to get back to Jen Fesler. Okay. All right. Moving on, guys. Don't forget, I am traveling, so I cannot travel without my vitamins. So one of the ways that I am keeping up with my vitamins is with our friends over at AG1. I've talked about them multiple times. I love the fact that I can take them on the go. I love having the travel packs with me. And I'm excited to continuously bring and talk about this product because it gives me energy. It provides all the vitamins that I need without me having to pack all the other vitamins that I need. And I'm excited that we can bring this to you as well. First of all, AG1 is tested for 950 contaminants and is NSF certified for sport. This is a certification that I mentioned to my dietitian, and she was truly impressed that they even went through that certification because it's not easy. All right. Like I said to you before, especially during this trip, dealing with jet lag, being low energy, especially after a busy day, literally took it right before this recap, okay? But like I said, if there's one product that I had to recommend to elevate your health, it's AG1. And that's why I'm excited to welcome them back as a partner here on the Kempire channel and podcast. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs. They will come in handy with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/Kempire. That's drinkag1.com/Kempire. Check it out in the description for more details. And thank you to AG1 for sponsoring today's live show. All right, back to my notes. All right. So Nate's celebration, we can always trust the Jersey Cats, unless it's Jackie, to throw a hell of a party with plenty of food. So Danielle hosts this party, and we're seeing more of Danielle's friends, including this woman, Tiffany. I think maybe they were testing Tiffany out because the way that they were sharing Tiffany in this moment, I was like, is Tiffany a friend of? But she's not a friend of, but she definitely was a guest. And I wonder if they were testing her out. Do you want to see more of Tiffany? I don't know if I want to see more of Tiffany, but I will say this. When Margaret mentioned to the ladies, is this everyone's first marriage? And Melissa's like, oh my God, can you believe she asked that question? Yes. Yes. So she really just asked the group of ladies. And Tiffany responds, she's like, yeah, this is my, this is his second marriage. She's like, I'm the upgrade. I was like, who is this? And I know the ex-wife is probably watching like this. I wonder, is she the upgrade or was she the mistress? I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm just saying I need to talk to the ex-wife. But she says she's the upgrade. You didn't have to say that. Look, but then, well, maybe the ex-wife cheated on Dante. Dante was cute. You saw Dante? We got a little glimpses of Dante. They're a cute couple there. She's beautiful. That was a little hot little couple situation. Anyways, so they're talking about what happened at Jen's party between, Teresa and Rachel Fuda. And Rachel's just like, I'm not the problem. She's the problem. All right. We also see a scene with Jen Fesler's sister talking with Teresa. Apparently they like each other. Jen's like, my sister doesn't like anybody. And Teresa at the party was talking like, I always wanted to have a sister. All right, Teresa. Teresa says that she then asks Jen about the meeting. So you remember Frank Sr. said that Melissa and Joe and all of them met right before the reunion, but Frank Sr., who we have not seen, said, I refuse to go. All right. Apparently Jen Fesler was there. Okay. So Teresa asked Jen about it because she heard that Jen Fesler said, you guys didn't follow the plan. So Jen clarifies what she says. Sidebar, we do hear some audio of Margaret talking, and she says, oh, what is Jen Fesler saying? When she's cocktailed up, she's not, we don't know what she's going to say. See, this is why I could not be friends with Margaret. Like, these are the slick things Margaret is saying about her friends. Like, she said a few slick things in this episode about people. All right, so that's why I always look at Margaret like, and I also think that Margaret is a sniper from the side. We see a lot on the show, but I also believe there's a lot being said behind the scenes. And I said that's the energy that I got from Margaret's her tagline about screenshots. I was like, it's quite telling. Anyways, but Jen's like, no, that's not what I said. This is what I said, just for clarification. Here's the thing. They're making such a big deal about this meeting that this group had before the reunion. I believe all of these housewives do it, including Teresa. I believe they all meet up. However, when we think about the accusations that were going to be addressed at this reunion, I think that they were trying to gather and put their information together in regards to Louis. I don't care about these other people and what they're doing on either side, but the accusations against Louis Ruelas and what he was allegedly possibly doing, gathering information, investigating this group, and then backpedaling at this reunion. Remember what he said at that party I think it was the season finale. Like, that is concerning. So I don't blame them for meeting together to make sure that they had their information. We never got to see what was in that manila envelope. And Jen Fesler says that's her frustration. Why didn't you guys bring that out? Who knows? So making a big deal about them meeting before the reunion to take Teresa down. No, I think they were trying to take Louis down. And when I say take him down, I think they were trying to expose him for being a Scientologist. No, I'm kidding. But no, they were trying to expose him for allegedly the things that he was doing behind the scenes in regards to calling people, harassing people allegedly. That is what they were meeting about. I don't see a big deal in that, to be honest. But maybe y'all do. Everyone has a right to their opinion. I don't see a big deal in that, especially with the accusations that they accused him of at the reunion. Y'all better meet and figure out, okay, what did you know? What did you hear? What did he do to you? Oh, okay. We need to make sure that we bring this up, because a reunion, sometimes when you're filming stuff, you forget things. And if you don't have, this is why Giselle always has a problem. Kenya told her, like, girl, you need to prepare. Call me before reunion. You don't just show up to the reunion. This is still a form of entertainment. This still is a television show. You still need to remember things. And for some of them, they need to remember their lives. Anyways. So Jen Fesler and Teresa are having a moment and having a conversation about that. And Jen Fesler says in her confessional that she likes Teresa. She wants to build a relationship with Teresa. And she's like, and here's the thing, Jen, I did look at you a little differently in that moment. Again, I've said to you, like, I understand if you had to pick between Margaret and Teresa, who you should pick, if you had to pick. But your reasoning for being friends with Teresa or trying to be friends with Teresa felt weird. It's sort of like, are you trying to be friends with her because you're clout chasing? Because that's what people are accusing Jackie Goldschneider about. And I said, I need to see how this friendship between Jackie and Teresa comes together, if it feels authentic to me, or does it feel like Jackie is just trying to get in where she fits in? Because Jackie, I'm leaning towards that because of how you behaved last season. And I really thought that you were above this reality TV stuff, but clearly anyone on reality television is thirsty in a way. In a way. But Jen says, like, she's trying to navigate this friendship with Teresa. She wants to be friends with Teresa. And Rachel's watching this and she's just like, I can't believe that I trusted this person. I can't believe that we're in this situation. I can't believe that Jen Fesler is putting herself in this position right now. Oh, Lord. But the guys are having a good old time, and they're going to continue to have a good old time over at Joe Gorga's house next episode. Like I said to you guys before, I'm glad we didn't really get a lot of Louis. I did see, we didn't mention it, Louis's father. They're going to be going to a celebration for Louis's father, who's celebrating many years of sobriety. I think it was like 6, 7, 8 years of sobriety. And Teresa was getting ready for that. Again, Teresa is entertaining. Louis is cringy. So he cannot continue the magic of what people love about the husbands. He can't be that glue. I've said to you guys before, the glue is Joe Gorga. He are able to have fun with the husbands to make the husbands entertaining to watch on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. It's not going to be Louis. Louis can't even interact. I can't even watch a scene with Louis and Paulie because Paulie's not that interesting and Louis is cringy. What are we watching? And Nate is too quiet. So, which is fine. And I don't know. But if you had to rate this week's episode of The Real Housewives of New Jersey from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? It was a decent episode. It wasn't terrible and it wasn't great. So I'm leaning more towards like a 7. But we shall see. I don't know how the rest of the season is going to go. It's still very early to decide whether having these very divided groups, if they work. Oh, sidebar. Melissa's snide comment. I already know the people that hate Melissa are going to have a field day, especially with this episode when Melissa makes a comment when Teresa arrives. She's like, "Ooh, I'm here. In regards to Teresa and Louis arriving, she's like, "Oh," to me, that was a throw at what happened at the reunion. And honestly, in real life, if you were in Melissa's position, you probably would do the same thing. Because I think we all were sort of like, Teresa, you really thought by saying and refusing to film with Melissa that they were going to cut Melissa out of the show. And I think to spite you and to rein you in, because they've seen it with other housewives, other OGs, they were like, you don't dictate what we do with this show. Your talent. We run this. We write your paycheck. We knew the way that she was acting at that reunion, they were going to teach her a lesson. Even if they were considering not bringing Melissa back, you gave her a position to come back. And Melissa has said in recent interviews that she is more than willing to film with whoever. They're more inclined to work with people like that. Just no matter if you want to be the queen of New Jersey, but you're gonna be the queen of New Jersey at home, not filming. They want people that are going to work with them. But can this work? Can this possibly work in the future with a divided cast? I think they're trying to figure out how that's going to look for season 15 of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. That might just have to be with a not all new cast, but shifting with the cast. And that might mean both Melissa and Teresa go. We shall see. We shall see. Guys, a sidebar before I go. If they got rid of if they got rid of Teresa, I mean, because I really feel like if any of what is true that's being said about Jennifer Aydin leaking screeners, Jennifer Aydin's future on The Real Housewives of New Jersey is pretty much done. So that only leaves Teresa with who on this cast? Jen Fesler? Love Jen Fesler, but she's also not a full-time housewife. She also doesn't have the deep connection with the fan base and things like that. There really isn't a lot of people. I guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels that are talking about similar topics. We're still talking about The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and I am still away. So stay tuned, but make sure that you are watching everything that we posted in the last couple of days. Yesterday, I think I posted 2 videos. So if you missed that, go check those out. Some updates, some recaps, all of that good stuff. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. And make sure that you subscribe to the Kempire podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for being here for our weekly recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse.